Hi, I'm Meredith Walsh. This is Harrison Herndon, and we are P1 Picks, a Formula One betting podcast where we're going to use data and analytics to give you the edge on upcoming races. So we are going into the Miami Grand Prix week, and I think we're really excited about this race. Harrison, tell me a little bit about the track. We'll just dive right in.
Yeah, Miami is a super cool circuit. It's not used very often, so we're talking about low grip, and we're talking about a circuit that has, a pretty long straight similar to China. We're also talking about a circuit that's not particularly super hard on the tires. It's really all about getting the car to work in the slow corners, and being able to deal with the low degradation the low deg that you're going to see over the course of the race.
And I think kind of just to give you guys a little bit of background on who we are and why we're doing this, we are data analysts by trade and really like to dig into the numbers, patterns, trends, what we're seeing in terms of real-time data, and in addition to what's going on in terms of upgrades that previous races have told us. And we're going to give you 3 picks a week early on in the week, and then we're going to follow up again after qualifying and give you just a final basically spread of who we think you should put your money on for the week. So let's start off with a bang. This isn't necessarily one of our bets, but just as a benchmark and bellwether. Harrison, P1 through 10. Go. What does that look like?
The two Red Bulls are out front. Max is obviously the stronger one. Lando's coming in third, followed by the two Ferraris, Piastri, probably the two Mercedes with George out in front, Lando to finish it up. Or not Lando to finish it up, Lance Stroll to finish it up. So I think that's probably your 10 cars for the week.
Yeah.
I think the Haas and probably most likely the RB don't finish in the points. I just don't think that they have really the pace down the long straight. Slow speed performance, yes, but those cars don't necessarily work as well through the medium and high speed corners, and especially the long straight that's going to be really plaguing them. I think kind of like we saw from last year with the Racing Bulls, that car just doesn't seem to have the best aero efficiency. It does well in slow, medium speed corners. They'll be strong in, Monaco, but when you have a long straight, they just seem to struggle a little bit more. So yeah, I'm not necessarily predicting RB to be in the top 5. I think that Aston Martin is a much stronger car.
Yeah.
I expect them to be strong in Miami.
And with Fernando somewhere sprinkled in there, probably up towards P5.
Yeah, Fernando will be there with Piastri. He'll probably be right behind. Good call out. Yeah, Alonso will be there probably behind Piastri and in front of the Mercs.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into our bets for this week. Our first bet is a podium bet. And it's funny because as we were talking about this earlier in the week, you can definitely kind of see that Vegas tends to consider some historical information. I think if we look back to 2022 and the Ferrari performance earlier in the week, only better or Charles and Signs were definitely predicted to finish higher than maybe say Lando. But we think that this week Lando is your value pick for P3. Do you want to kind of go into why and what we're expecting from the McLarens in Miami?
Yeah, I think McLaren will be strong. I think we saw that Lando last race P2, they saw very little degradation in China. The car was stronger than they thought it was going to be. I think their team boss came out and said, a lot of slow speed corners here. We don't think that they will necessarily be as strong as Ferrari. And it ended up wrong. They ended up kind of making a step forward where Ferrari didn't necessarily ever get the tire in the right peak temperature, potentially never got the fronts to kind of work properly, and really struggled with race pace. So this is more of a bet that McLaren has a good upgrade. If they say that it's a substantial upgrade, I would expect them to be, at least a 1/10.5 to 2/10 up. That puts them, behind Red Bull and I think in front of Ferrari for this race.
Mhm.
But I think this is also more of a one bet race because as we start to look to Imola, you know, Ferrari are going to be a lot stronger when they bring out the B version of this car. And I think you're betting that this upgrade puts McLaren ahead, while probably in Imola you'll look to put money back on Ferrari to finish on the podium, probably because that new Ferrari should be a step forward as well. So you're as we start to get into the upgrade race, there's a lot of value in betting to which teams are bringing an upgrade, which upgrades have been successful in 2023, and kind of how can we leverage that against the books.
Yeah, and just to talk a little bit about China, I mean, I think Lando and overall, performance this year for McLaren. We're not really seeing mistakes. We're not seeing strategy mistakes. We're not seeing driver error. And we're seeing, everything kind of running really smoothly, which is not something I think we would have said last year at Miami this time. So we are really talking about what we're looking at now. And the first bet of the week is Lando on the podium, possibly a P2 finish, but definitely probably that P3 is what we're looking at there. So that is our P1 picks, first ever, first bet, first thing you'll ever hear from us. So take that to the bank. On our second bet, I think this is an oldie but a goodie, because let's be honest, we want to put our money where there is, not only value, but definitely it doesn't hurt to take an easy bet. Let's talk about Max Verstappen, Mr. 2022, 23, 24. I think our second bet of the week is a Max Verstappen bet. Do you want to kind of dive into that?
Yeah, so I looked at Max having some value. I think if you look at him as first qualifier and race winner, I think that bet potentially has a lot of value, largely because Max is so far ahead. I think Sergio is really the only person that's going to challenge him week over week, but he's still going to be the fastest in the race. He's still probably going to be the fastest qualifier. He qualified in P9 last year and P3 in 2022, won both of those races. I think Max is taking a step forward in qualifying. I also don't think, the Ferraris are going to be strong over one lap. Probably not strong enough to really challenge Max, though. I think we kind of saw that last week. And if there's going to be any change in qualifying, if there's going to be a surprise, it's probably more in sprint qualifying than in actual qualifying. I think Max is going to get the tires in the right window and really put a good lap out there. So, I like Max. I think there's definitely a lot of value there.
Yeah, so value, our max bet this week is going to be Max for the win and then Max qualifying P1. So I think that is probably a bet that, why not go with what's been working? And that typically tends to be something that we've been able to count on here recently. So that is our P2 or our P1 second bet of the week. Let's dive into number 3. And I think this is where we're going to get a little bit more of a conversation, especially after the race that was China. And that's who we like in P10. And that is Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
Value pick for sure. Go ahead.
The value pick for sure. I mean, once again, I will say that, I think Lance Stroll is in a strong car. Is he necessarily one of the top 20 drivers in Formula One? Absolutely not. Is he in a top 5 car in Formula One? Absolutely. Did the Aston Martin upgrade that they bought in Saudi Arabia probably give them 0.2 to a tenth and a half? Absolutely. Do I expect that car to be, honestly, half a second behind Ferrari? Of course. And I think they're really getting the car in a better place than Mercedes right now. Now, Mercedes will bring an upgrade. That'll be fantastic. That potentially puts them ahead of Alonso. That'll be a great race to watch. But Lance Stroll should finish P10. He should beat the Haas's. He should beat the Racing Bulls. Even if he doesn't qualify there, because this track has so little degradation, and because he did so well on the hard tire in China, they're going to bolt on the hards. They're going to go for a long time. They're not going to make a mistake. Lance is going to be able to pass people down the long back straight. As long as he doesn't hit a wall, this should be good.
For a car during, a safety.
Or a car, correct.
No, we love Lance. Honestly, I think that this is a really good pick. And again, we're not just talking about who we like and who we think is going to do great. It's really a value pick for us. So in honor of the DFW Formula One Breakfast Club, which we like to watch races with, great community there. This is our P10 pick of the week. We'll be doing this every week. And if you want to put $10 on it earlier in the week, we again will follow up after qualifying with a nice short and sweet video of where we're actually going to be betting going into race day. But that, I think, is it for P1 picks. We are really excited to enjoy the rest of this race season with you. So is the cat, apparently. But we're really excited about this project. Like I said, we kind of love the data. We're going to have complimentary videos to kind of show where we're pulling this information from. Harrison does a really good job with that. And so I think that's about it for us this week. Anything else to close us out, Harrison?
Watch these Mercedes upgrades. Mercedes has got a new side pod and a new floor. It'll be interesting to see if they will take a little step forward as we actually roll out. Today, we're shooting this podcast on Thursday, so make sure to keep your eye on Twitter as we start to actually see the first shots of this McLaren upgrade and start to see the first shots of these Mercedes upgrade. It'll be cool to see the new bodywork.
Yeah, really excited about that. Excited about Miami and looking forward to the first P1 Picks podcast. If you would like to get the picks that we are going to give every week directly to your inbox, you can sign up in the link at our podcast and on the YouTube page. Also, bets at p1picks.com is another place that you're able to reach out to us. So we're going to be sending updates throughout the week and hopefully be able to do this twice a week for you guys, give you an edge and give you some value. Obviously, Max has kind of run away with this season, but there's lots of fun ways to watch Formula One, and we love a good parlay, a prop bet, and like to see where the value is going into each race weekend. So good to talk to you today, Harrison, and I think that will wrap us up for our P1 Picks podcast number 1.
Yeah, you guys watch out for Lando. Bet Max for both qualifying and the win. And lastly, look at Lance Stroll on the points.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us. Thanks so much, guys.